There are plenty of roller coaster manufacturers to choose from the reliable and consistent to the innovative and extreme. Each manufacturer has their own unique selling point. But what sets each one apart? In today's video, we're going to take a look at the best thing about every major coaster manufacturer and what they do best. This could be a model, a force, trains, color scheming, like literally anything. It's just what sets them above their competition. Also, side note is that the order is completely random, so we are starting off with Mack Rides. Okay, Mack Rides. They do a lot of good stuff. I could definitely point my finger at a lot of bad stuff, but that is for another video. Mack has a very diverse set of forces, so that could be a thing in itself. They have a bunch of launch coasters, but those aren't the best, and their catalog is very, very unique. The thing that makes Mack the best is a singular model, and some may think it's the Hypercoaster, and I could see that. There's only 3 of them built, and like DC Rivals is supposed to be one of the best coasters in the world. There's something that stands out above this model, and it's the only model really to achieve this. And that is the Mack Extreme Spinning Coaster. When we talk about free spinning coasters and just spinning coasters in general, we don't have intensity on the list. I mean, sure, you get the disorienting experience, but it's not about the layout. The spinning makes the ride. This model does the absolute opposite of this. They make the layout god tier, and then they added the spinning aspect, and it makes it completely out of this world. Ride to Happiness is probably top 10 in the world for coasters, and Time Traveler is also pretty up there. The ride experience this model offers is so disorienting and so incredibly unique that there's nothing even close to it, except maybe the 2025 Universal Hollywood coaster, if that's even a thing. And there is an incredibly bright future for this model. A 2025 Mack Extreme Spinning Coaster is allegedly coming to Holiday Park in Germany, and is said to push the limit of this model even more. I thought Ride to Happiness was already on the next level. I guess I'm wrong though. Next up is a very familiar manufacturer, and also there's a clear thing that it does best. Bolliger and Mabillard. I mean, you open up B&M's catalog and you can start naming what they do best. I mean, their hyper model is near perfect, their invert is near perfect, their dive is near perfect, their sit downs are near perfect. The only miss was a standing coaster, but none of those are the thing that the company does best. What makes B&M so good is the reliability, and no one will argue against it. No. B&M has a near perfect track record. Their safety is so incredibly good. I mean, it may be too good. Those vest restraints are terrible.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
Their reliability is something else. B&Ms are always working because it's what they do. They hardly ever break down. They're also capacity monsters and guaranteed to satisfy the general public. And also lasts for such a long time. B&M has a guaranteed quality ride experience, extremely reliable, and have a super long shelf life. It would be the go-to manufacturer if it wasn't so gosh dang expensive. Next up is another manufacturer that I could say one bad thing about it and rant on forever about it, but they are turning around for the better, and that is Intamin. When we think of Intamin, we think of the major strides taken in the coaster world by them, and that is what gets them the win. They are the best at innovation. I don't think anyone will object on this. Intamin takes so many risks and build masterpieces from them. You want examples? They built the 4 tallest coasters in the world, soon to be the 5 tallest if Falcon's Flight opens, and that in itself is another example. Intamin will build anything you could ever ask for, and that is why they are so good. This is what innovation looks like, truly trying new things, breaking boundaries, and achieving the impossible, and that's what Intamin has done since day one. Going to a defunct manufacturer, we have Schwarzkopf. Well, I guess they are reviving themselves with Premier Rides. It's kinda confusing, but Schwarzkopf. This coaster manufacturer was way ahead of its time. It is mainly known for bringing the modern inversion into this world with the vertical loop. And that is what they do best. It's kind of the only good thing Schwarzkopf does, so it ends up here. Everything else is just janky fair rides and bobsleds. The vertical loops are very forceful, but it's also the one-hit wonder of Schwarzkopf. Next up is our first wooden coaster manufacturer, Gravity Group. Now the Gravity Group is the Intamin of wooden coasters. Do I need to say more? I'm saying the Gravity Group does innovation the best, again, but this time for wood coasters. You want examples of their innovation and ingenuity? Take Switchback at ZDT's. It's a shuttle wooden coaster. That's absolutely insane. How do you put things like switch tracks into a wooden coaster model? Well, Gravity Group knows how to do it. There's also Mindblower, which is an inverting wooden coaster, and that's very uncommon. So if you want unique wood coasters that have never been done before, hit up the Gravity Group. They know what they are doing, and they are good at innovating. A newer but very popular manufacturer, Rocky Mountain Construction, does a lot of things right. Like, literally everything right, almost. There's a few nitpicks I can name, but once again, that's for another video. So what is the best thing that a manufacturer that only makes perfect things could be? Well, you can't really point it to a model. The iBox is like the coolest concept ever. Who thought turning old, aging rough woodies and turning them into coaster masterpieces would ever work? Well, RMC did. The Raptor models are also very amazing and have some of the best whip that you could ever get, and RMC Retrack and the Topper Track are nice optional additions for wooden coasters. But there's something that all of these have in common, and it's a force that RMC has really shaped into the coaster world, and that is airtime, or negative Gs. RMC has perfected airtime, and it is definitely the thing they do the best. In fact, no one even comes close to beating RMC in airtime. A lot of people are trying to, like Mack, Intamin, Coma, every wooden coaster manufacturer, but they aren't achieving it. RMC has so much ejector airtime, sustain, quick pops, floater, they have all variants and everything. It's very safe to say Rocky Mountain Constructions are the kings of airtime. Next up is a manufacturer that has completely turned everything around in the past couple of years, and that is Vekoma. Vekoma has literally gone from zero to hero. They're the ones responsible for those god-awful boomerangs and SLCs, and now they have turned themselves around making world-class additions like LetCoaster. And there's something that has remained constant throughout this whole entire time, and that's price. Vekoma is very cheap and affordable for a lot of parks. Whether this was the $2 million boomerang or the $7 million SLCs, Vekoma has remained cheap even when they turn their quality up. Not a lot of other companies can say they sold extreme coasters for $2 million and are selling world-class coaster masterpieces right now, but the cheap price is what Vekoma does best. GreatCoasters International, or GCI for short, is another wooden coaster manufacturer. For me, it was really hard to find the best thing that this company does. I feel like mid-tier GCI is built into my vocabulary. They have a bunch of not elite, not bad, mid-tier coasters, and that's what I think they do best. They are consistent. I don't think I have seen a bad addition from GCI. Even their first ever coaster, Wildcat, was not inherently bad. That being said, they have a lot of good additions as well, like Ghost Rider and Gold Striker, so I can confidently say that GCI is really good at consistency. Also, their international coasters are absolutely insane, but consistency is what they are really good at. Next up is another wooden coaster manufacturer that also has the Coasters International part in it, and that is CCI, Custom Coasters International. CCI has built a lot of masterpieces and have built a lot of close to masterpieces, and beyond a single one of their doings or a common theme, most of the good CCI coasters have one thing in common, and that one thing in common is laterals. I feel like CCI does laterals the best out of any coaster manufacturer, and when you mix that with amazing drops in airtime, it becomes elite. But those hammering laterals are what makes CCI stand out above the rest. Okay, next up is a manufacturer that I hate, and everyone gets mad at me for hating on it, but I just can't get myself to like any one of their coasters, and that is Aerodynamics. Now, Aerodynamics did so much for coasters. They are the first to really use steel track, they helped the age of inversions, and then they went out of business. But they were the start of steel roller coasters and the everyday inversion. They really were influential. But none of these are really what they did best. The thing that they did best still stands today and might be the number 1, 2, or 3 coaster in the world. You probably have guessed it, it's the 4th dimensional coaster. X2, or X at the time when it was built, was the craziest thing I have ever seen, and it still is. The fact that it was built over 20 years ago amazes me. How could something so sick, so disorienting, just so far out of its time, be constructed that long ago? It's just mind-blowing. I know X is like only one of the 3 4-dimensional coasters, but Aero sold their plans to SNS, so it counts as their design, though SNS improved it on it a little, and it's definitely what Aero did best. Speaking of SNS, here we go with them. This manufacturer kind of flew under my radar, just because they were building mostly in Europe and in Asia. The only time I ever heard about them was when they were building those SNS 40 free spins. But with Max Force opening in America, I definitely think there's more on the way, plus some of their craziest stuff is in China. The one thing that remains consistent across their catalog, and that SNS does really well, is launches, specifically compressed air launches. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Look at Dodonpa. It goes to 111 miles per hour in less than 2 seconds. That's absolutely insane. I think it even broke some people's spines or something. That's what a powerful launch looks like, and the fact that they are still kicking around with these powerful launches prove that SNS does launches the best. Next up is Gerslauer. Now, Gerslauer had me very conflicted. Once again, I think they make incredibly mid-tier additions. I'm not one to judge because I've only been on hang time, but I still stand my ground that they have only mid-tier additions. I know all the good Gerslauers are in Europe, and like Carning is cool, and Smiler is record-breaking, but I don't see the amazing amount of hype. I guess I'll have to wait and see. The problem is, both the Infinity Coaster and the Eurofighter are kind of similar to each other and both have amazing additions, so instead of picking one over the other, I'm just going to say both of these are the things Gerslauer does best. Next up is Premier Rides, and this is one of the more shallow catalogs. This company does not have a lot to offer compared to other manufacturers. I mean, the thing that they are most known for are the Skyrocket 2s, the clone layout, but there's also Skyrocket 1s and Skyrocket 3s. Besides that, they have a couple LIMs, and that's really it. So what does Premier do best? It's your LSM launches. I know they aren't crazy powerful on Skyrocket 2s, like Full Throttle has a good at kicking in, and there's nothing really else to say besides maybe LIM, but those LSM coasters are more reliable, so they are better. It's time for PTC, the coaster manufacturer that I have absolutely no right talking about. I've never been on a PTC, nor even near a PTC, not even on PTC trains that are like everywhere. And that's what they do best, building trains. I mean, their ground-up coasters aren't insane, so we have trains. And while there's a lot of talk about PTC trains being heavy and beating up the coaster track, they're so comfortable to sit in with those buzz bars, and they're like everywhere, so yeah, it's what PTC does best. Last but not least is Chance Rides. This is another manufacturer that has built absolutely nothing. I guess we would count DH Morgan under this, and there would be the Hypercoaster model, but still there's something better than this, all built by Chance. And that is the Hyper GTX model. Lightning Run is so compact, so cheap, and so good. It delivers all the ejector airtime one would need in a small layout and for a good price. This model had one successful edition and kind of just died from there. There's one coming to Arizona this year, but it's not going to be as good as Lightning Run. I really just hope that there's going to be a lot more of these installed. I especially would like one at my home park. But anyways, this is what Chance Ride does best, the Hyper GTX model. That's all for today's video, guys. Let me know if you agree with my decisions in the comment section below, and if I should do a video about the worst things about every manufacturer. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.